Hello, 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 hello. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Kwabena. Welcome. I want to share with you how to handle business financial pitfalls. Business financial pitfalls. As a young business person, as a young entrepreneur, how do you handle the pitfalls, the the holes that you fall into, the challenges that will come financially, the difficulties, the problems that will come. There are many experts, there are many people who have a lot of literature on what it takes to run a successful business, and a lot of them, with very good financial background. They have worked with a lot of institutions. They have worked on almost every continent. They know a lot, and their advice is, is I think the advice usually is important and it's critical. But how do you go through the mess? Go through the stage, the idea stage, the first 1 year, the first 2 years, the first 3 years. How do you handle that? How do you stay? Because I think business is very easy when there is no problem. It's very easy when all the things that you wrote down are working. It's very easy when you know what you are doing. But unfortunately, not many of us would know what we are doing. A lot of us will start to learn out of the doing, and by the time that you start to understand what you're doing, you may have caused a lot of mess. So how do you handle the pitfalls? Because except those who are talking with the expertise from the book, the ones who are on the field, they have faced a lot of these pitfalls, a lot of these challenges. So if you happen to find yourself in that, what are some of the things that will lead you into falling into some of these pitfalls? You know, the kind of business that you start, the kind of industry that you get yourself into, will have a lot to do with the pitfalls. How you start the business, what industry you start the business in, the expertise that you have, the understanding that you have, how well you understand the industry, will go a long way to, either help you or destroy you in terms of the pitfalls, right? So I think that there are industries that are not for the one who is learning. I think there are industries that are for people who have done and tried a lot. Part of the industries that you have to mop up a lot of money to start, the industries where you have to deal with a lot of people involved, the industries where the revenue, before you get the income, the revenue, you have to go through a lot of technical things before you're paid. The industries that you have to depend on one individual company, one individual person to bring you a lot of money out of acts, having done a lot of work for you for months, for years before they pay you. I think that these kind of industries require some level of maturity. They require some level of expertise. The industries that require a lot of capital input before you start, they are not for children. And so you have to decide your level, your strength, your expertise, what you understand, and then you look at the industry that you can start. Most people in our country, when they talk of entrepreneurship, when they talk of business, usually people are looking at supply contract in the construction business. Things that you have to, just do some connection to get somebody, and then they start to pay you. And a lot of people talk about mobilization and things like that. I don't think that these industries are for children. That's why when you see people who usually find a lot of difficulties Usually there are people in this bracket of business, because the business that you likely succeed in should not take a lot of money for you to start to get income. If you have to invest a lot, develop the concept, develop the idea, and it's an industry that you don't know much about, it's likely that you have challenges, and it could be major hit, on you. And the other ones who start in industries where it's not so much tough, who start in industries where they get the revenue from all, a lot of people are coming to buy, a lot of people are placing order, they pay you the next day, they pay you the same day, cash and carry kind of business. I think is a better way of starting as an entrepreneur. And it's a better way of understanding the market, understanding your customer base, than when you just, keep pumping money into this thing that you are going to learn the processes, you're going to learn yourself, you're going to learn the economy, you're going to learn a lot of things, and then you're hoarding, you're pushing money, you're pushing money into this thing, and you are at the stage where you're learning. I think some of these businesses will usually push you into a lot of difficulties. And so the pitfall mainly will depend on the kind of business that you start. Somebody will disagree with that, but it's okay. You have to know that the industry that you're starting your business in can easily, get you into a serious situation, or sometimes you can easily. So, sometimes the difference between those who succeed that fast and those who seem to delay, and sometimes even give up, it's not so much they were not good. Sometimes it's so much that they were not able to shift and move quickly into an industry that is easily scalable, or that they can easily survive. Because if you say you go into people in mining companies, you have to buy a lot of machines, you have to go and prospect, you have to go and do a lot of things. At the same time, you're paying salaries, you may not even be sure whether you are going to get the gold. There are so many things that don't work. Industries like that, you have to know that you must be some kind of a master, and you must have some muscle in terms of finances, or you just go and the next minute you are on the ground, and blood is all over and you are crying. It's not necessarily that you are not good business person, or you are not good entrepreneur, but you did not go through. Maybe you didn't pick the right business. Maybe you didn't pick the right business. So the pitfalls, you have to know. You can prevent a lot of pain, a lot of difficulties, and sometimes you can prevent yourself from going to a lot of detour if you look at the industry that you start in. With your expertise and with the level of, even your access to the capital. Because if let's say you go to take a project, the project is 1 million, maybe they mobilize you, or maybe you go for bank loan, and you have to work for a while before they pay you, and maybe along the line things didn't work out. You just find yourself in a difficult situation in no time. Why? Because you started in an industry that there were a lot of technicalities, there were a lot of complications. You don't understand it, and maybe you didn't even team up with somebody who also understand the industry. And by the time you see, you're in a very critical, difficult situation that you never thought you would be. It's all because you started, or you found yourself in the bad industry. So the pitfalls, one of it is the bad industry, or the kind of industry that you start. Entrepreneurship, I really think that it thrives on trying to give solutions, whether it's in a product or in a service, from your level. You start to develop a concept, you start to develop an idea, you go gradually. That one, when there is a challenge, you can know how to handle it. But if you go big and you happen to go for people's money, then you have a lot of problem. And so people get into the pitfalls, not because they are, sometimes it's just because they are naive. Entrepreneurship requires some level of naivety, yes, but because if you know so much, you may not even want. People who have done businesses so much, if they knew what they were going to go through, probably they would not even start the business in the first place. So some level of ignorance is needed in terms of the journey, what it will take you to get results. But just look at the industry that you can start in. It's very critical. If the industry is going to take a lot of money, it's going to take a lot of time to keep working before you get the first check or before you get the first salary. And they are going to keep working before another person pays you. The other person who starts in an industry where they just put the product there, they develop the concept, and people are paying them from day one, will have a fair chance of succeeding, and will have a fair chance of not maybe falling into a lot of pitfalls than the other one who had to organize a lot of money and put it in something and wait for somebody to pay them. So you have to look at the industry that you start in. It will help you. The other thing is that starting with a lot of loans, or getting yourself into loans that you did not understand, loans with high interest rate, you can easily be in a pitfall, because when they are trying to arrange these things for you, even if your business is doing well, taking a loan and paying 30% a year, 40% a year, you have to be a master to handle that and still be able to pay this. So if you get yourself in an industry, or if you get yourself in a business where you are going to fall on loans, whether from people or from an organization, you have to really know what you're getting yourself into, because almost all the time these kind of loans with huge interest, even if you're a good person, you may find yourself in a bad situation, because not many businesses are able to make 20% profit a year or 50% profit a year. So if somebody is giving you money and the person is taking about 40% a year, you know that you're just getting yourself into some kind of a problem. And so you just have to know that before you take a loan, you have to be a master. You really have to know what you're getting yourself in. You have to really have some kind of discipline. You have to really have a lot of controls, because the thing is, when you are the one leading the business, when everything is going on well, everybody will be happy and they'll be clapping for you. But when things start to go bad, you'll be the one with the trouble, and you'll be the one to solve all these challenges. And so before you put your neck down, before you go to take any financial liability in terms of loans, you really have to think through and have a good plan. You really have to think through and have a good plan, or you find yourself in a big trouble. And many entrepreneurs have gone through that, because when they were picking the money, they had little understanding of the implications. Because when you're taking loan, that's something I've seen about loan. When you're taking the loan and the money is coming, at that point, very few people think of repayment. Very few people think thoughtfully of the plan to pay that money back. But if somebody gives you money, or if a company, a bank lends to you, they will take it back, and they will not take it free. They will take it with the cost. And you have to know that this cost that I'm getting myself into, am I able? Because I think that a lot of people find themselves in business pitfalls financially, because part of it is that the loan was just given to us at that point where we did not even have proper understanding what we were going to use the loan for. We didn't have proper in terms of constraints and controls as to who is what and who is taking which money to do what. Because you go to put your neck on the line, you go and pick the money, you give it to this guy, and he decides where to send what, there'll be trouble. So until you have fair understanding of the loan, how quickly your business can pay that loan back, be a bit careful and be a bit hesitant trying to just go for anything like that, because don't forget, people don't forget their debt. The institutions will not forget their debt. They will get it back, whether you like it or not. Some businesses are doing well. They happen to have gone through the cycle. They are at the stage where they are doing well, but because of the mistakes that they made in the past, they still have to handle some of these big pitfalls. So you don't have to run away from it if you have created a mess. But before you put your neck down to say that I'm going to take a loan, you have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy. You have to really think through. Don't just look at the benefits. Don't just look at your maturity. Look at your discipline. Have you been able to handle your own personal finances well? Have you been able to, keep your things rightly? Are you the one really controlling the finances? Do you understand what the money is going, when they're going to pay you back? You really have to understand a lot of these things before you find yourself going to take loan to push in the business that you're still learning. Because usually they say, oh, they gave us a project. If you take the loan, they pay this now, and anything can happen anyhow. So if you have your little money, you can put it in it. If you lose it, nobody will chase you. You can handle it well and start to get back. But if you go for bank loan, you go for individuals' money, and things happen, which they will always do. Things will always happen. It's business. It's risk. Don't forget that. There's always risk in every decision that you're making. There's always something that will go back that you least expected. Some payment will delay. Somebody will run away with their money. Somebody will change their mind. These are all part of business. So don't just look at just the plan. Don't just look at the figures that you have put in front of you and say that if I put 100,000 in 3 months, I get 100,000. There are a lot of things that you will not know until you start to hit the ground. And so when you're going for those kind of things, think through, have a plan. It's not just only about the profit. You're going to grow, you're going to make mistakes. And the best mistakes that you make are the mistakes that you make with your money. Other people's money, you don't really have to practice, and you don't really have to train with people's money. It has to be your money, because every minute they are counting their interest. Every minute they know that their money is with you. People who have gone through this microfinance, people have had a lot of terrible experiences. Why? Because they did not know what they were getting themselves into. So watch out. Well, it's a major pitfall. The loans, major pitfall. Where you are stepping is key. So don't just say that, oh, my friend gave me this project. He said that if I can procure this loan, bring it, we'll make this profit. That's just paper. There are a lot of activities that are going to happen, and you must know what you're getting yourself into. Because if you get yourself into the loan pitfall, it may take you a lot of years to get back. Really, that is if you even have the strength. Some people have lost their drive, they have lost their momentum, because they picked a bad loan. They made a bad choice, and they happen to be in a situation where it's almost impossible for them to get back. But if they had gone gradually, if they had gone with their money, if they had gone with a friend's money somewhere and said that, okay, listen, give me this money, let me try. If it doesn't work, this is my plan. You'll be, because don't ever think that everything will go as planned perfectly. It doesn't always go like that, unless the one teaching you in the classroom. On the field, you see, something about business, something about entrepreneurship is that there are a lot of experts who have never done it. They haven't even failed before. They can give you the number, they can read the data, they can tell you everything, but they have never done it. And those who have done it are a bit more, careful, a bit more pessimistic, and they are not overambitious. Why? Because they know that anything at all can happen, and you're going to hold a lot of processes before you start to get the profit, and before you start to see the results that you so much want to see. So you have to know what you're getting yourself into, because any of those decisions can put you in a very, very bad situation. The other pitfall that you may have to really think through is when you start to work and you put yourself on salary and you start to add people to the team. Think of the salary, think of how much you're going to pay them, and think of how many people you can pick at a point. Don't be emotional, don't be so much a good person. Don't try to increase the salary like it doesn't matter. Don't increase the salary against the future earners. Don't. And make sure that if you're going to get people to come on board, you really need them to be doing something. If you don't need them, don't add anything, because one thing that people, you may think that you're helping them. No, they think that they have a job and that you have to pay them. So you really have, even though you want to succeed, you have to know that you really know what you're gaining by whoever you are putting on the team that you're going to pay salary. Because if you agree to pay them 200 Ghana at the end of the month, whether they work or they don't work, they are going to say that you owe them. And if you don't pay, they will say to everybody that this man employed me and he didn't pay me. Some of the pitfall will be really look at how much you think your business can pay, how much you think your business is earning, and how many people you think you can employ at every point. If you start to have that kind of discipline, the chances, the rate, the probability that you start to succeed faster will be so much, because then you're working within working within your the things that you understand. So if you're going to employ 3 people, you know that, okay, I'm going to employ 3 people. The business can pay this kind of salary. It's better. I can pay you 200 Ghana cedis every month. I can pay you 1,000 Ghana cedis every month. Then you start to know that, okay, I have these 1,000 cedis for these 3 people for the next 4 months, for the next 5 months. You have a lot of peace. You'll be able to control your emotions. You'll be able to think well than when you don't have, and you are waiting for the monthly payment from your employee, from your contract or from the sales to pay them. That is a danger, because then if anything happens, you're going to be in a very bad situation. So look at the numbers well. Look at how many people you think you can pay. Look at how much you can pay them, and don't be in haste trying to impress anybody. You don't need to impress anybody. A business can have 3 workers and be that much profitable, and keep on growing, than somebody with 20 workers and is struggling to pay them. There are businesses like that who are, you see them big numbers, but they struggle every time to pay salary. Why? Because what is coming in is not much. And so that is a pitfall, And don't forget, if you have 100 people and you have to pay everybody 1,000, that automatically becomes 100,000 Ghana cedis every month, beyond the other things that you have to pay the state, So that can easily become a problem. That can easily become a challenge. And sometimes entrepreneurs, business people can even go and credit, go and take loans to pay salary like that, hoping that the payment from the client will come on time. So think through. You don't have to put yourself into some of these pitfalls that quickly. It's a good idea your business is doing well, but think through. It's always better to master the finances. If your business is going to do well, one of the areas that you must master is the financial discipline. If you fail that, you will struggle, you will delay, go through challenges. Those who are able to grow their business faster is because they have that financial discipline. They understand what they're going through, and they're able to handle the pitfalls perfectly, or at least close to perfection. Maybe 50% rightly than the other ones. So if you see anybody struggling in business, struggling, it's because the financials are not being handled well. Usually, they don't understand what they're doing with the finances. They don't know how it's coming in. They don't know how it's going out. They just make any decision out of emotions. They spend more than what they are making, and they create a lot of hope that they have no plan to get realized. If you are like that, you're going to go through a lot of challenges, and the pitfalls will be many. So, look at the salaries and increase as you can, and don't employ people you think you don't need. You don't need any extra. People will come. They will come with their cousins. They will come with their friends. Your fathers will call you. Your mothers will call you. Your families will call you. Your friends will call you. But you have to know this business, can it take? You have to have that discipline. And usually that thing may not. Sometimes it doesn't come as we needed it to come. That wisdom may not just come when you needed it. It's usually when they come when you have created the mess already. So have the discipline to employ the right people that you think you need, the number you need, and don't just increase the salary anyhow. Pay as you can. And if anybody is ready to take that kind of salary, let them know. I can pay you this, and at this stage, this is what the business can pay. This is what we can survive. I think that you have a lot of peace when you can have something left after all the mess, because you don't know what is going to happen from any point at any time. So my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about business financial pitfalls, and business is risky, it's dangerous, but if you have the discipline, if you have the knowledge, if you have the know-how to handle the finances, there is a fair chance that we can survive. There is a fair chance. The other pitfall is overspending on things that don't necessarily bring direct revenue that quickly. Let's say you're a contractor, and let's say you can hire the truck, to do the work for you. But because you maybe have some kind of money somewhere, or before you can get access to some credit somewhere, instead of you relying on renting the truck, you go and buy it. And you don't use it well. Every time they are calling you, you have to change the tire, you have to change the oil, you have to buy different insurance. The driver is driving, going around, going to ditch, so many things. And the track that you have pushed a lot of money in is not bringing any money. It's not bringing any money. And at the same time, you use a lot of bulk money to purchase that track. And the only thing that you get in buying a track, for me as a contractor, is maybe the convenience. In terms of savings, I'm not sure that they save that much. It's convenience. It's anytime that you want, you have it. But if you didn't own that track and you were hiring, then you don't have to bother about the driver. You don't have to bother about changing the tires, changing the oil. You don't have to bother about the insurance. You don't have to bother about a lot of things. Of course, they will charge you more than if your track, where to go for that load. But you really have to do the maths to know this track, is it really profitable on this project? If it's not profitable, there's no need trying to have your name on the track when that track is leaking. Your business is hemorrhaging because you bought that machine, you bought that caterpillar, you bought that truck, you bought that pickup, you have put the logo there, you built that office, but really maybe you could have just hired the office, and maybe operated with a very small space, maybe 100 square meters, or maybe 150 square meter, or 50 square meter, or even 20 square meter, and you could just work from there than trying to use maybe 1 million Ghana cedi to build an office and put your logo there, and you just have one or two people working from there, and the business is struggling financially because you did not make the right decisions. The decisions to the financials should flow where the revenue will come in quickly. So you make that could be a major, and it can be destructive if you make the wrong decisions in terms of where money should go for the business to grow, because it's a major pitfall. Most businesses, once they get the money, they go to buy something flashy so that people will think that the business is doing well. You don't need people to think that the business is doing well. You should know that the business is doing well, and you will know that by the financials. Anybody who is outside the business really does not know whether the business is doing well or not until they have the right facts on the financial status of the business. The fact that you see the things flashing around does not mean that the business is doing well. Not necessarily. There are a lot of businesses that are going down, and yet they were keeping a lot of some of these what they call branding and impressions all over. So you don't really have to. You don't really have to impress anybody. Build the business gradually. Discipline yourself, grow with, you don't have to put any face. You don't really have to tell anybody, this is me. No, grow what you're comfortable with, because you have to have the grips of your finances. You have to have the grips of where the business is going. You have to really understand it, because it's a business. If it goes down, everybody will run away. It will be you who will be left, So really, when you have money, it's always an advantage to have extra money to take care of the business, than trying to just any little money that we get, we rush to just go and buy this car, go and buy this office, buy this pickup, buy this phone, buy this, trying to impress everybody, trying to tell people that the business is doing well. That is immaturity. They are for children. The moment you start to really understand what you're doing, you want to have a full grip of the money of the business. You have to know that every money that is going out of the business, you want to track it. Because when there is trouble, you have to know how to solve it. So don't impress anybody. There are a lot of people have all these kind of ideas. When you go and pick an office from the airport and you dress it well, you don't know who you meet, no problem. But you must have what it takes to handle that kind of status. You have to handle, right. Yes, Black. A lot of packaging and the financials are not well. No, you don't need to impress anybody when the financials are very weak. You have to make sure that your financials are stable. Or spend years to correct that. It will help you, because that mainly, I think, is what brings a lot of businesses down, and it could be a major pitfall when you're in haste to let people know that you have arrived and you have succeeded. It's not important. There are a lot of people, you hear it in the news now. Many so-called businesses going down because why? They were in haste to impress people. You don't have to impress anybody. Just work with what you have and try to grow with the things that you have identified that are your strengths, that are your core business. Grow like that. It doesn't matter. Give yourself time. Sometimes you can give yourself 10 years, 20 years, working gradually Work with the best of team, work with the best of ethics, work hard, go out, just do it gradually. You know, just go gradually. You never know where the business will get to. Continue, develop. The best thing is you developing as an individual, developing the skill, developing the character, developing what is needed for the business to grow, having the right team, thinking of the future, having the discipline to monitor what, and increasing the sales, things like that, increasing the projects that you're getting gradually. Sometimes the business could be doing well and the space that you're operating from is just moderate. Why? Because they want to make sure that a lot of things are controlled. The ones who are mushrooming everywhere, moving everywhere, trying to impress people, when there's a hit, they cannot get back on their feet because there was no skill, there was no discipline. They didn't know what they were doing. They were just trying to create a package because most people in our country just package. The rare figures are not there. The rare fundamentals, they don't know. They have not gone through the process. So you just facade. And once they get some little revenue, they want to make noise. Grow your business gradually. If your business is making proper revenue, 10,000 as your profit a year, and you're growing it, it's a good business than trying to get a million that you know that is not realistic. It's not a proper revenue from the business. So my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about financial pitfalls, and some of the things that I'm saying are things that mistakes that we have made, the things that we have gone through that we wish we could not, we didn't have to go through. Things that we wish we never had been that stupid and ignorant, but we were. And I remember there was a time that we were in a project, and we went to buy a bulldozer. We had work on another project. We got some money. We went to buy a bulldozer, which was a second-hand bulldozer in Ghana. My. For the next 4 years, we didn't have these troubles everywhere. Today is the pump. Tomorrow is the hydraulic hose. The next day is the track. The next day is this. Every time, and mechanics, heavy duty mechanics are almost criminals. They will always have a problem to. Sometimes in the morning they will call and say that we have identified a spare parts here. Let's go and buy. I've got. We bought some D7 and we went through a lot of hell. Why? Because we did not need it. We didn't have the understanding that we did not need that bulldozer. We probably could have rented something else. Improper assessment of a situation can really put a lot of bad press on you. And it created a pitfall that it took years for us to even correct. So no need to just go and spend money that will not directly bring. You have to spend on things directly. You put it in the business, you know that you're getting the returns as quickly as possible because you don't have that much leverage. You don't have that much space to waste money like that. And the moment you start to waste money, the business is going bankrupt. And once the business is going bankrupt, your pressure becomes high. Everybody starts to fight with you. You can't pay the salary, you can't pay the rent, you can't buy the phone, you can't take trotro. There's no business when there is no flow of cash in a business. Don't forget, the temperature will go high. And so you have to know how to handle the pitfalls. We have to know that. Everybody will have them. Those who survive are those who are able to identify the pitfalls and handle them well. So starting the right business where you understand what you're doing, the cash flow is different. It's a better way of trying to handle the pitfalls. Because if you start in a bad industry, you can be there for years, and the financials will not go away like that. And the next one is when you start with loans. Understand that if you go for big loans, big interest, you must know your numbers, and don't just project on hope. Don't play with loan on hope, especially when you're not experienced. It can destroy everything. You can destroy your dream. It can destroy you. Can destroy everything. It can be a major pitfall. The other one will be don't increase salaries just anyhow because you are emotional. You want to pay people even if they are not working. I used to do that. You just think that. And once you increase it and you can't pay, they will curse you. Right? And so don't I don't think it's a proper decision. Employ the people that your business needs, and don't just employ out of sympathy. Not at all. Out of relationship, no. Employ those that you really need. It's knowledge, it is wisdom that can come maybe when you understand what you're doing. And don't spend to impress. Don't spend to impress. And become very much resourceful with the little that you have. And when it does that, your business will you'll be able to handle the pitfalls, because if you see any business collapse, it's because they were not able to handle all these challenges. And once you have created this mess, they bundle into huge financial difficulty. If you're unable to handle these pitfalls, they create pressure, they create debt, it's long, it's difficulty. Today somebody's calling you, another day that somebody's calling you, somebody's insulting you, somebody's taking the project from you because you can't run the project. There's pressure. If you don't handle this well, you don't have any business. If you don't handle this pitfalls well, you don't have any business. So thank you very much for watching. I took a break from the Facebook Live, and hopefully I'll be able to do more, and hopefully somebody else is also picking some lessons. Because I don't believe in sharing jokes and the comedies every time that people are doing. I think life is lived, and maybe live once. And so our continent must progress, our continent must develop, and it will take nobody to develop them except us. And the more information that people who are taking business risk, entrepreneurs, have, the better we'll have a fair chance of succeeding in whatever business that we are doing. So much how quality decisions that you're making every day, those are the ones that are going to be responsible for the success of the business. So, and if you don't make quality decisions, we can only make quality decisions by the quality things that I think we know, our understanding, the clarity that we have on whatever subject that we are making a decision on, will decide whether our decisions will be appropriate based on the data we have or not. So the more you don't spend a lot of time on jokes, if you're in business, and spending time educating, building yourself, learning, the better you have the chance to succeed in your business. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Black, thank you.